I'm sure you would agree the technology behind drones, of course, is fascinating and it's becoming such a craze as well, and aptly so. In fact, the emerging global market for business services using drone for potentially, businesses and services around the world is worth more than $127 billion, according to a recent study, as well as the total drone units sold climbed to 2.2 million units worldwide, and that was just a couple of years ago. So can you imagine that number today? Here in the studio to talk to me about drone in the industrial sector is, of course, Hanis Efni, Managing Partner of Best Events Productions in Berhad, as well as Wan Azrin Adnan, Chief Executive of Mata Aerotech, which is a subsidiary of SWS Capital Berhad. Welcome to the studio. Thank you for being with me today.
My pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Such a wonderful topic to talk about, drones. You talk about it initially, it takes me back to my childhood days when we were playing remote control cars and really kind of having fun with that. It goes, left, right, goes to a place where you can get to. But here we are, in almost a new decade now, talking about drones and the amazing service that it can provide, which also kind of brings us in to talk about the upcoming conference that's happening in just a couple of months in March 2020, the Global Drone Conference and Hackathon. We'll talk more about the conference shortly, but let's first quickly get into the usage of drones here in the country. Adnan, perhaps you can help to shed some light, Azrin, on where we are in terms of drone usage in the country.
Okay, I think before we go there, we have to actually recognize the components of the drone industry itself. So as what you rightly mentioned just now, you remember the time where we used the remote control and whatnot. So similarly, in terms of the drone technology, we can actually categorize it into three.
Okay.
At one end, you have the hobbies, the low-end drones. Then you move on to the commercial drones being used for applications and services in the commercial sector, and all the other side is actually the military drones.
Okay,
right?
So that's of course the high-end usage as
Correct.
well, which has so far been the main area of sort of drone usage thus far, but recently has become more commercial as well. In fact, many services around the world, for example, Amazon Prime Air, of course, is also looking at how drones can now come to your doorstep and drop off your order. Do you think Malaysia will see that happen very soon?
Definitely. Whether we would definitely see it, whether it will be soon or not is another question that we have to answer.
That's right.
Right. Because I think in general the adoption of the drone technology in Malaysia is a little bit slower than the rest of the world. Maybe we not have the right ecosystem yet. Maybe we do not have the right regulatory framework yet. That is actually slowing us down in terms of the adoption of the drone technology in Malaysia currently.
That's right. Hanis, why did you think that putting this conference together was going to be interesting, if not exciting?
Well, we were studying the market. We wanted something not offered before, and we saw that the gap was there. And also there was an education gap also. So a lot of industries were not aware about how to use drones for their business, and the drone players themselves needed help to be seen. So that's where the conference happens. We want to match these two elements.
So it's safe to say this is the first time such a conference is happening.
We had a smaller event in October, more like an introductory event, and this is gearing up to the one in March.
What's been the feedback so far, whether it's from businesses or even the general public?
Well, we had pretty good feedback when they came. They learned a lot, basically from our counterparts from Indonesia, from Singapore, from Australia, and India. They really use their drones for surveying wide areas and all that. So the drone players here, they managed to learn how to use their drones better, and businesses here see how to use it in their business.
Right.
Yeah.
So sort of a case study and examples as well for us to try and bring drones into a more commercial space here in Malaysia. Azrin, when did you get into this industry?
We actually started our company sometime in the middle of the year. So we've been in operation for about 4+ months. And so far it's been quite challenging. Firstly, because we have been engaging a lot of people in Malaysia. It is partly commercial in nature, and partly is educational.
Right.
Because we still have to educate the general public, organizations even, in terms of the value that drone technology could offer to their life, to their services, and also to how they operate their businesses.
Talk about value. Perhaps you
Right.
can, explain that a little bit more. What kind of value does it really add? Because for a long time, the issue with drones was that it's infringing into privacy, into some security points as well. As we know, drone laws need to be firmly sort of the loose ends needs to be tied up as
Correct.
well. But what real value does it add?
Okay, so if we look at the drone technology as a whole, it could offer or it could be utilized in a variety of applications, in a variety of sectors. So let's take an example of the agriculture sector.
All right.
Okay, so, and let's zoom in into one particular sector, which is paddy. Okay, because currently we are working together with Felcra Berhad to actually incorporate the use of drone technology into the management and also the operations of Felcra's paddy estate in Seberang Perak. So you can imagine a paddy field. It is very labor intensive,
Right.
and it is also very manually done in terms of how, for as simple as in terms of spraying their pesticides. Okay, so if you were to take this away, right, the manual way of doing things,
Right.
you introduce a drone, it could be faster, more efficient, and more cost savings.
Okay.
That would be the value that the drone technology could actually offer in the agriculture sector.
But what about the investment into such a service or project?
Correct. So as far as we are concerned as a company, we have different business model when we engage with our clients, right? But currently, because the technology itself, the drone itself is quite expensive, we tend to offer our drone technology as a service to the clients, so they don't have to fork out a lot of money just to buy the drones. So they just engage us as a service provider. For example, if you want to do spraying, tell us when you want us to do the spraying.
Right.
We go, tell us where and when.
Right.
So then we will provide
And
you
use your
the
equipment.
spraying services. Yes.
Right.
Correct.
On that note, we take a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Kerana aku memilih untuk tidak lari, kerana aku memilih untuk mengurusnya, kini aku bebas menikmati kehidupan.
Mengupas isu semasa, merangkumi politik, ekonomi, sukan serta hiburan, membawakan anda agenda pentas dunia.
We use 100% of this palm oil because the palm oil, they make it into pastry margarine or they make it into the cake margarine. So we are using that 100%. The corporate color of Machi is orange and purple. Actually, the purple stands for a sophisticated Machi which have full knowledge and use high tech in her process or in her manufacturing. And the color orange, it is a very good color for food. It is vibrant, it is delicious looking, and you would love to eat it. We Malaysians should love Malaysian product, should buy more Malaysian palm oil.
Welcome back to The Nation. We're still talking about drone in the industrial sector. And of course, if you can see the buntings behind me, talk about the Global Drone Conference and Hackathon that's happening in just a few months on 2nd and 3rd of March at MyTech. And not too far away to go. I'm sure you're all very excited about it as well. What are some of the main topics that will be addressed during the conference, Hannes?
Okay, we will actually be covering a few things across the board. So there are five main industries that we want to focus on. That would be agriculture, energy, infrastructure, construction, and public safety. So we will be touching on artificial intelligence because that's very much related to drones, even though it might not be apparent, because when we say drones, they think that drones can work on its own, but actually it's just a robot with intelligence, right? So we're also including some topics about robotics, data analytics, and how with regulations a little bit. Yeah.
Well, those are 5 vast areas as well. Are there any case studies that you could share with us, Azrin, that you think we can take a leaf out of?
Yeah, in terms of the application, of course, the drone technology could be utilized for many applications in many sectors. If we were to zoom in into the agriculture sector, based on our own experience, the drone technology could actually help in 2 ways. One, in terms of providing uniformity in terms of spraying of pesticides and fertilizers. That's one part. But the exciting part is actually the data analytics.
Okay.
Is whereby say for example you have a plot of paddy, you would fly the drone and the drone would take the aerial images of your plot of paddy. From there on, you provide those images into the software, then the software would generate results. For example, the software could actually tell you whether your plant is healthy or not, whether it's lacking certain components.
By the look of it.
By the look of it. This is the artificial intelligence that Hannes mentioned just now. You can do things, for example, plant counting.
Yes.
Yeah, like today we started doing a mapping for oil palm, because you have to count the number of trees that you have in your estate. If you do not know how many trees you have in your estate, how would you know as simple as how much fertilizers to order?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So something that was done like
manually
for such a long time is now instantly done in what, half the time, less than half the time?
Much less. Yeah. With the drone that we have, one of the drones that we have, we use for area mapping. It could cover an area of 1,000 hectares in one day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Imagine
That
how many manpower hours you save.
That's right.
Yeah.
So as we move into IR 4.0, of course that's the big buzzword now, and of course the mission for next year as well. How can services adopt an infrastructure to help support drone usage, whether they provide it as a service like you do, or whether they use it as part of their company?
Correct. So again, I would like to take the example of the agriculture sector, right? Because personally, I think drone technology could offer tremendous impact on our agriculture sector. Currently, our agriculture sector is plagued with 2 main issues. One, in terms of the low yield, low income of the farmers. Number one. Second is our over dependency on labor, especially foreign labor. So drone technology could actually address these 2. So in terms of the adoption, we hope, as a company, we hope more and more farmers and also organizations.
Ashwin, while we are hopeful on this, how do we address some of the gaps that are apparent within the ecosystem of drone usage? As you said, there is an ecosystem where the law comes in as well, where infrastructure comes in, investment in cost, skills, you've got to upskill as well.
I think there are many issues that the government should look into. I think they are looking into some of the items. For example, currently, this is based on our own experience. If you were to bring in drones from overseas into Malaysia, it is taxable, right? So imagine from the government point of view, if you want to encourage the adoption of drone technology in Malaysia, maybe one of the ways is to
drop
actually
the tax.
Exactly.
Okay, what about Malaysians or Malaysia as a manufacturer of drones and creator of that technology?
I think we are not there yet. Malaysia, currently, we are mainly a user of the drone technology. Right. Again, if we want to look into the drone technology could actually be categorized into three components. One is the drone itself, the UAV, how high, the hardware, how high it can fly, how fast it can fly, and so on. Second is actually the payload, what the drone can actually carry. You can carry weapons, you can carry cameras, spraying equipment, and whatnot. And
Medical supplies.
Medical supplies, actually, correct.
Yeah.
And the third component is actually the software.
Right.
The software is actually the interesting part where you do the data analytics. Yeah. So as we move forward, especially in the agriculture sector, as a technology company, we are looking towards smart agriculture, whereby you incorporate the whole thing, and this actually creates value to the farmers and also create values to the organizations.
That's right. Hanis, how did you sort of, find this experience so far, looking at, how drones can actually help services? How do you think this is going to benefit people at large?
Okay, I think for us, if you're looking at something at large, drones can be used for public safety,
Which I think is a
Yeah.
great and very interesting place as well.
Yeah.
For us to sort of probe further,
Yeah.
whether it's a it's a concert or it's a big gathering somewhere,
Yes.
or if it's just a surveillance instead of the helicopters that we see nowadays, that can be replaced by a
True.
drone so easily.
True, and it can also be used basically, for traffic control.
Yeah.
Where areas where you can't have policemen patrol all the time, you can have drones patrol the area at regular hours. And also it can detect when, if for example, if the police are chasing a felon. And it takes a bit of time for them to actually leave the petrol station from the police station
Yeah.
to the scene of the crime, so they can actually send the drone first. Yeah.
Correct.
What excites you, about this industry, because it's so new in one perspective, but at the same time, it's going to kind of try to uplift many of the industries that are already existing.
Correct.
It's a bit of a funny and
Correct.
interesting perspective.
I
there.
think at the end of the day, currently in Malaysia, in terms of the drone technology, we are just scratching the surface. In terms of the applications, we are seeing a lot of applications coming out now, but there will be more and more applications that we have not thought of. Say, for example, we could be using drone as a substitute for a lifeguard,
Yeah.
right? I mean, our beaches, we don't have lifeguards.
No,
You
and
can
we have,
actually station drones
yeah,
with a vest. If there's an emergency, the drone can actually fly.
be the first respondent.
First responder. Things like this, which is not being used yet or implemented yet in
Explored
Malaysia.
even.
Explored, yeah.
Yeah.
These are
Even
the things that-
environmental changes.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Like the poisonous gases,
Yeah.
it can detect what kind of gases are there being emitted.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
On that note, we take another quick commercial break. When we come back, we wrap up the discussion right here on drones and its usage here in Malaysia moving into 2020. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Wartawan Bernama menceritakan pengalaman mencari dan mengumpul berita.
Malaysia juga turun dengan misi balas dendam.
Pengalaman wartawan Bernama mendapatkan maklumat di setiap negeri di Malaysia
Tapi bila kita balik, kita tak boleh kata kita tak ada berita. Kita macam mana pun kena buat juga berita.
dan juga koresponden Bernama di Singapura, Bangkok dan Jakarta dalam notifikasi.
Penerbangan bersejarah sebenarnya.
8.30 malam, Bernama TV.
Welcome back to The Nation. I'm Jessie Chahel, seated very comfortably with Hanis Afni, Managing Partner of Best Events Productions in Berhad, of course the organizer of the Global Drone Conference and Hackathon, as well as Wan Azrin Adnan, Chief Executive of Mata Aerotech, which is a subsidiary of SWS Capital Berhad. We've been talking at length about the usage of drone in many of the industries here in the country as well. But one of the important things is before it can be sort of adopted well, it also there needs to be more education about this also. So Azrin, how do you think universities perhaps can look into promoting the knowledge adoption and usage of drones?
Correct. I think one of the ways the university is actually to prepare their graduates for the technology. For example, one of the things that we are currently doing with one of the colleges in Malaysia is actually to offer certificate drone operators together with their diploma.
Right.
So when they graduate, they actually get a diploma and also a certificate how to operate the drone. So this is actually can prepare their graduates for the IR 4.0. Right?
I see.
I think another component is that mainly partly because of the regulatory component, right? So currently in Malaysia, there's no law as such to say that if you were to operate a drone, you have to be licensed, right? Like us, when we want to drive a car, we have to go to the driving school, learn and get a license and so on and so on. So currently that is not in place yet.
Okay.
So in order to promote and to protect the career of a drone operator, there must be some regulatory framework. So that only licensed drone operators can actually operate drones in Malaysia.
That's right, because now there are some rules as well. You cannot land less than 50 meters from the ground, 30 meters. You can approach someone, you have to be 50 meters away.
Correct.
But very loosely.
Correct.
And it's different rules, whether it's for like, personal usage, commercial usage, right? So there isn't like a governing rule over this as well. Who do you think, Hanis, are some of the key stakeholders in the development of smart cities? We're going to move towards drone usage. That will be one of the criteria of being a smart city as well.
Yeah. Basically, in a smart city, it's really about getting everybody involved in a better lifestyle, right? So it starts from basically us, the commuters, the citizens, the hubs like schools, hospitals, police stations, and then it moves on to public transportation hubs, stations, and of course government agencies. So everybody needs to work together. So how does this happen is actually through the Internet of Things. That's how people get connected. So they use sensors, they use cameras to collect this data. This data goes up into the cloud and it gets analyzed, and then you act on it. Yeah, so drones can actually help in that sense because it already has the sensors, the cameras, and it can capture data that is relevant, and then it feeds it to the relevant parties to take action.
Right. Where do you see the drone being introduced in the short term? In which industry, which markets, which service do you think drones can be easily sort of, eased into the market right now?
Well, we are seeing more and more usage of the drone technology in the agriculture sector. It is also being used for the inspection of assets. For example, telco towers, oil rigs, and all this. So more and more industries are actually adopting technology because it provides that value in terms of the efficiency and in terms of the quickness of you generating the results.
Right.
So more and more industries, yes.
Definitely. Very exciting time as well. Hanis, what can people expect from the Global Drone Conference that's happening in just a few months in March?
Well, we're hoping to have more AI-related activities, robotics. We're working with the local government agencies which are related to these two things as well.
Which government agencies are related?
MDAC, MARI. So they are very much pushing forward IR 4.0.
Yes.
So this is related to them, and they're very supportive. We're also hoping to get more education awareness out to industry players. For example, how do you use drones to replace dangerous jobs? Going into places that you cannot go into.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yes, and how you use data correctly, and of course the security features.
That's right. Azrin, what would be your advice to businesses wanting to get into the drone space?
Okay, I think first and foremost you have to understand the industry, and secondly is actually getting your business model right, right? Because and be prepared. I think everybody who wants to enter this space must be prepared, because the gestation period could take a while, because not only you want to offer your services, but it would take a while for you to actually educate the general public, the businesses, on the value that is created from the drone technology.
As you said earlier, we don't even know, we haven't really explored the usage of drones and how far we can really push this. But what at this point would be the ultimate coming out from your imagination?
In terms of?
In terms of the usage of drone, I mean, where do you think you could use it creatively at this point?
Well, people are already talking about air mobility.
Yeah.
You know, but whether it will happen in the next 5 to 10 years, I personally think it may not happen, because unless you put in a very rigorous regulatory framework for that were to happen.
Infrastructure too.
It will not
city
happen.
planning and
correct.
all that.
That's right. But suffice to say that it is an interesting time ahead of us, where drone usage is concerned, especially in the ever-growing industries within the country as well. Thank you so much to the both of you for coming in, and all the best with the first, or rather on this scale, the largest global drone conference and hackathon that has been in the country. Well, that's all the time we have. Thank you so much once again. I hope that you enjoyed this discussion and found it fruitful. If you've got a drone now, probably be a good time to take it out and play with it a little. All right, we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.
Susahlah hidup macam ni. Apa yang aku buat langsung tak dihargai. Bila lu mau settle?